When a new album comes out, especially by a band that has had its popularity years prior, and in this case it's Dokken, when a new album comes out by a band that has had that fame, I think the fans of that band hope that there's going to be that one song that's going to go viral, and it's going to rekindle the flame that used to make it a household name in pop music. And regardless if we want to consider heavy metal pop music or not, to some extent there's a validation that comes with the excitement and the intangible of what could happen by the release of a new record. If it's something that we relate to, we hear, and is to our ears where we're at a time in our lives, then great, that's an album we're going to love forever. There is, however, the intangible validation that comes from it blowing up, it being huge, it being something that you're going to hear when you go out to the movies and hear as a bed music for a movie trailer or something like that. It's a validation of popularity, and you kind of go on the journey with that band and celebrate their successes because you've been loyal to them. Basically, you hope that one day they'll be able to lip sync on Dancing with the Stars like Def Leppard did. With that said, that excitement was not there when Dokken released the album Broken Bones in September of 2012. And that's a shame because Dokken is one of my favorite bands. In fact, they are probably one of my top 5 bands of all time. But the day that album came out, before I even had the opportunity to put it in the player, there was an interview done with Don Dokken where he had fired Mick Brown, which that's a big loss for any band to lose a drummer of the caliber of Mick Brown, and that this would be their last album, which subsequently is what is said on the DVD that accompanies the CD, and basically that even the touring schedule will be limited. I've heard rumors that it has to do with John Levin and a health issue, and if that is the case, Mr. Levin, I hope that you're doing well, and gosh, I hope you can get back on the road, because Dokken not on the road is just a strange dichotomy for the world of hard rock, and considering I've seen him umpteenth amount of times, it is something that I definitely am going to miss. So, when Broken Bones came out, my hopes, expectations, fandom, excitement that goes into it kind of was squashed before I even had the chance to put the proverbial needle to the record. I don't know what you would call what you put to the CD before I get to pop it in my machine. It was already squashed. But if I'm going to review the album based on the album alone, and not how their hair looked, because it drives me nuts when things are called hair metal and people review their appearance and their spandex and their fringe and never actually talk about the songs they wrote, which is kind of what you do in the music business, isn't it? Make music. I mean, let's strip it down. That's what it is, right? When you strip it down and actually listen to the album, it is pretty darn good. The first song on the album gets it off to a great start, and almost like a power metal riff kicks it off, with Don actually sounding better than he has on recent records, singing a song called Empire, and Empire has a very political-driven feel to it, and it's about all the uprising in the Middle East right now with Syria and all other countries overturning their governments and fighting over things and bombing their own people. And basically the line in the song that sticks out to me is, "What will you rule in the end? A burning empire." And even though I shy away from political-based songs, mostly because, for whatever reason, all forms of music, and that's something that music and entertainment share together, is a lack of common sense in political views. I don't know why that is. I find that most of the people that I look up to and musically follow, when I hear them talk about politics, you just want to punch them because they're so out of touch with what mainstream USA and the mainstream world believe that it's stunning. But I guess having that kind of money separates you from being able to comprehend what it is to be an everyday person with an everyday job and an everyday family. It's just a completely different mindset. But I digress. The song itself is actually very good, very catchy, easily the single, and it was the single for their album. Again, though, when you release a single, your hope is that you can get excited about it, and realistically you couldn't because they were basically disbanded before it even was released. The title track of the album is next. It's Broken Bones. Very good song, hard rocker, I like it. Next is called Best of Me. Pretty good song, a little bit lower in tempo, but it's still a good song. Blind was next, and Blind is the catchiest song, amongst the catchiest songs. I think it would have served them better to have had a longer second chorus at the end. When you think of Dokken greats, you think of the big choruses, and It's Not Love, for example, comes to mind. It's not love, why baby, why? It's not love, why baby, why? I mean, that could go on for ever and ever, and you know, everybody would still be singing along to it. It was just something that was extended, and it seemed to me like the chorus had some bite to it and some weight to it, and felt good, but they only go through it once at the end, and then the song's over, and you're kind of like, well, you know, I could have grooved to that a little bit longer. That's just my personal take. Waterfall, one of the prettiest pieces of music Dokken's ever put together. I'm not going to talk about Mr. Scary and the instrumentals that have gone on in years gone by where they're, you know, heavier things. Waterfall is just a very calming feel to it. Victim of the Crime, another, you know, mid-tempo rocker. I like it. Pretty cool. Burning Tears, easily a song that I can see them performing live. I like it a lot. Very cool groove to that one. I like that song. Today. Now, Today I heard was a cover. It's not a song I've ever heard before, so if it's not a cover, I do apologize. As a hard rock and metal fan, it is a very strange dichotomy to hear a song that is so far outside of the realm of what you'd expect from a hard rock and heavy metal album and still think that it's the best song on the album. However, this is the best song on the album. Don sounds most at peace, most comfortable. This is what he clearly wanted to sing, and it came out incredible. The guitar work on it is impeccable. The musicianship, it's just, you know, normally when I get a new album, I get the new song, and that's what I want to hear. Yeah, let's tooth and nail, and things like that, and you just want to pump your fist, and whatever. That's what, you know, drives you in your intensity. Off this album, this is the finest song. Period. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I encourage you to YouTube it. I'm not going to put any copyright infringement on my video, but I'm sure that you can find a YouTube video of that song. Or if you're in the mood to actually spend some money, and you should be, go on iTunes and purchase that song, or go on Amazon and purchase the entire CD. CDs, by the way, are circular silver discs that play music. So go pick up one of them, because you might enjoy them. Up next was For the Last Time. Good song. Kind of felt like that should have been the closer, but not a bad song. Fade Away, not too bad at all. And Tonight, which is another song that I can see them doing live, which is actually a nice way to end it. One of the things that chaps my ass about albums, though, is the Japanese bonus tracks. And I find myself trying to find those, and I almost wish that I had bottomless pockets. Unfortunately, I do have bottomless pockets, but short arms, so I can't reach the wallet. Problem is, the Japanese bonus tracks often are as good, if not better, than some of the songs that are actually make the album. And I don't know if the artist chooses them to be bonus tracks because they don't think they're as good, or they think that they're too expected, or, I hate this word, but cliche. But Can't Fight This Love is one of the songs that is a bonus track on the album. And I'll tell you what, it's amongst the best songs on the album as a whole. So I'm disappointed that it's a Japanese bonus track. I have a copy of it, iTunes, thank you, and we are all set with that. So as a whole, Broken Bones, if it was a touring band that didn't implode at the time that this came out, I would say it's one of the better albums of 2012. And I will say this, and I don't care if it causes bad feelings, This is a better album than TNN, which sounds like a cable news network, because it's actually new songs. And I know that there's been lists put together, and TNN gets put above Broken Bones on many of those lists, and I don't fully fathom why that is, because this is new material. Of course, hearing Breaking the Chains or Alone Again or something like that will be something that will sound more natural to your ear, considering you've been listening to it for 30 years. But this is a brand new album with brand new material that Don and John clearly worked very hard on, and I'm proud to own it. I just wish that I was able to have that full excitement factor that goes into purchasing a new album. Like when I purchase a new album by, say, Steel Panther. Yes, I know it's tongue-in-cheek, and a lot of that's going to go... It's going to get old at some point, but for right now it's still humorous to me. Where the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit for how far they're going to reach. Same with younger bands like Crash Diet, or another guy who I like a lot that makes great new music is Chris Laney, who's over in Sweden. I believe Crash Diet is as well, but bottom line is, when new or old bands release albums, the sky's the limit for our expectations or our hopes of how far it could possibly reach. And when this one came out, it was kind of had the rug pulled out from under it. They say timing is everything, and unfortunately the timing of this came when the band was imploding, health issues aside, and it did hurt the overall perception of the album, by me anyways. I can't say for everybody, but for me anyways. But if you go back 10 years from now and listen to the album, it's going to be up there with one of the better Dokken albums that have been out there. For the record, my favorite Dokken album is actually Erase the Slate from back in 1999, and my least favorite Dokken album is Shadow Life, which I hate. There's no other way to put it. I've listened to it once, that's it. So this album is up there with the Erase the Slate, Tooth and Nail, Under Lock and Key, Breaking the Chains. It's up there with those albums in terms of songwriting and quality. Don's voice, obviously not as high as it used to be, and anybody who expects it to be is, you're probably the same people who get upset that the wrong Asian Jewish guys are wearing makeup in Kiss right now. You gotta accept that times change, and with it comes our limitations. You know what? Vocally, he's still very strong. It's just, you're not gonna hear him hit the high notes like he did 25 years ago, and you know what? There's not many singers out there right now that was around 25 years ago that can hit those high notes, so I don't quite get the unfair bashing of Don when he's no more guilty of things than a lot of other people. Anyway, good album, worth picking up, but timing is everything, and unfortunately the timing was just not there on this album.